At the end of the day, whatever the two of us have going on down here is about trust.
You're on a path in the woods. At the end of that path is a cabin, and in the basement of that cabin is a princess. And you, as a mysterious narrator informs you, are here to slay her. And if you don't, it will be the end of the world. And so, you enter the cabin. You pick up a knife. You approach the princess. But just running up to her and stabbing her on nothing but the narrator's word doesn't feel right. You should at least hear her side of the story first. She proceeds to calmly, coldly, and rationally deconstruct every argument you bring before her. If she's supposedly so dangerous, how is she confined in this basement? And even if she is some kind of world-ending monster, how could you hope to stop her with just a knife? By simple logic, she leaves you no reason to do anything but set her free. But outside of reason, she still seems off. Why is she so evasive about her background? Why did she say you were right to be afraid of her? And what's with that eerie expression she keeps giving you? You can't stall with conversation forever. You have to make a choice on what to do with her based on incomplete information, choosing to believe either the princess or the narrator. Your relationship, from the very start, is about trust. This is Slay the Princess, released by Black Tabby Games in 2023. It was my favorite game of that year, and close to being my favorite game of the following year too, with its free expansion, The Pristine Cut. It's a game about horror, perception, and the core struggles of existence, but also about love, trust, and betrayal. And as you might have guessed, it's one of those games that you should play knowing less, and I'm about to talk full spoilers. The first 10 minutes that I just described is what hooked me on the game, on top of great art and some of my favorite voice work in a game maybe ever. Play it if you can, then let's come back and talk. This will be the last spoiler warning. So, if you've played the game, you know that no matter what you do, you're going to die after you enter that cabin. You can end up shanked, clawed to pieces, beaten to death, killed via forced organ failure, mercy killed by a sorrowful maiden, mercy killed by a cold-hearted vixen, trapped in an endless void until you demonetize yourself, or in my case the first time around, stepped on. Moving on. After you die, you wake up again on the forest path. The narrator describes the exact same scenario to you, and you hear an additional voice in your head, somehow reflecting your experience last time. And when you see the princess, you find that she's changed as well, depending on your choices and how you ended up perceiving her. So if you caught yourself wondering if she's armed, she pulls a knife and shivs you, and in the next chapter, or route as most players call them, she's a deceptive creature made entirely of hidden knives. Alternatively, if you simply hesitate for too long before trying to kill her, making this more of an equal fight than an assassination, in the next route she's a muscle babe that wants nothing more than another proper bout. Eventually, Slay the Princess reveals its hand, when the princess is absorbed by something else. You meet the Shifting Mound, a broken, godlike entity of which the varying forms of the princess are her scattered pieces. You're a being like her as well, called the Long Quiet. She asks you to help reclaim these other vessels, and the game resets to the beginning. The real Slay the Princess is about seeing the different forms that this story, the princess, and your relationship can take. In a screen that shows the very first time you start the game, you're told, this is a love story. Most players, I think, will end up on the Damsel route early on because of that. If it's a love story, then why not just do everything her way? If you do, the second time you walk into the cabin, the princess is a delicate maiden with no hostility towards you, but also no ambitions, no personality, and possibly just nothing at all behind those big ol' eyes. Look at them. It's like looking into the eyes of a small, profoundly stupid animal. The Damsel is a love story, but at the same time it's kind of the worst one. The new voice that joins you is called the Voice of the Smitten, who wants nothing but to pursue that perfect fairy tale romance. What a stand-up and unproblematic guy. If you follow his advice, the story is kind of just nothing at all. You walk in, retrieve your true love, and walk out. The narrator tries to stop you, but it's a joke in a narrative this saccharine. There's no conflict, there's no drama, there's no story. To be clear, I'm not saying the Damsel route is bad. Quite the opposite, it's good because of how it fits into the game as a whole, as a facet of your relationship with the princess and how it contrasts with the other love stories, such as fan favorite and me favorite route, the Thorn. Yes, the Thorn is the only route where you kiss the princess, which is a little odd considering the recent revelation that the protagonist has a beak, and if you think that the developers simply didn't consider that, you're wrong. But no, the princess is a good love story because it's not exactly a happy relationship starting out, but it builds to something. Many chapters in Slay the Princess are only accessible by doing other chapters first, and you only get to the Thorn by going through the Witch. The Witch, in turn, is a route that you get to by betraying the princess in the opening act, attempting to stab her after you've rescued her. The mistrust from this betrayal is baked into the character of the witch. She will not trust you and will always backstab you no matter what, even if it brings horrible consequences down on her. She's memed a lot for her cute cat face and gremlin-y facade of defiance, but it's honestly kind of sad how that exterior conceals how damaged she is inside. And the Thorn feels like the truest portrayal of that inner world. I love the visual design of the Thorn. The twisting, barbed vines around her are like her own emotional defenses made manifest, equal parts wall and prison. The red streaks of blood on her skin from the barbs digging in stick out from the game's usual monochrome palette, highlighting how she harms herself in trying to keep the world at bay. She feels, initially, almost impossible to approach, both physically due to the thorns, and emotionally from that sad, exhausted expression in body language. But getting through that exterior is really rewarding, and not just because you force the narrator to describe it. By the time you get to the Thorn, you and the princess have both betrayed and hurt each other, and the ultimate resolution is that you don't want to live like that anymore. The climax, where she hands over the knife so you can cut her bindings, is an act of trust, despite everything that's happened between you two previously. The Thorn route is a short but satisfying love story because, unlike the Damsel, it's not always going well. The trust between you two is lost and ultimately restored. There are many aspects to what make a good love story. Fictional ones mind, real life is very different, but the most important is some kind of drama, and this core idea of trust is central to the drama of the Thorn and some of the more unconventional love stories to be found here. For example, consider the good ending of the Prisoner route. Yeah, the good ending, where she, cuts her own head off. Don't worry, she's fine. The Prisoner variant of the princess is another one marked by your previous betrayal, being one of the routes that occurs after you try to double-cross her but don't quite follow through. That leaves a critical difference between her and the witch, where she hasn't fully given up hope. The Prisoner is characterized by her adamant defiance and very cynical mistrust of others. But despite all of that, her cutting off her head in front of you, hoping that you'll get the message and carry her outside, is really an act of faith. Even though she knows that you're there to kill her, and flying in the face of her belief that she only has herself to rely on, she takes a gamble, and rewarding that gamble of trust is probably one of the most positive and beautiful route endings in the game. Of course, you could just leave her there, permanently breaking her spirit and leading to the Pristine Cut's new Cage route, but why would you do that? Speaking of why would you do that, the Spectre route has one of those as a branch of its own unconventional love story. You can let this cute little ghost possess your body and hitch a ride out of the cabin in what feels like a slightly less traumatic version of the Prisoner ending, and it's honestly really sweet. I love her comments on the chaos inside your head and the very platonically loving happy ending you get out of it. Or, as soon as she's inside, you can take your knife and demonetize yourself, leading to the second of the Pristine Cut's new routes, the Princess and the Dragon, where the two of you share a body. It's a great route, especially with your old body being piloted by the various voices, leading to the voice of the opportunist going from scheming coward to genuinely terrifying and then back again to scheming coward. I love him. There's an interesting line from the princess in this chapter if you ask her whether she's mad at you. She says that she's certainly hurt, you've killed her twice at this point, but in your current situation it's hard to actually be angry. Maybe it's trying to make the best of what happened, or maybe it's because this is the chapter where the two of you are physically and emotionally the closest. And it's just really interesting that this is the result of yet another betrayal, isn't it? Like, honestly, the Shifting Mound and the Long Quiet are a really weird couple, but maybe the weirdness of their relationship is kind of the point. Consider, what is your goal in Slay the Princess? Early on, it's probably the same as the title, or maybe you're just trying to find out what's going on, or maybe you're just trying to survive each scene. But what about after you finish your first run and meet the Shifting Mound for the first time? The answer is weirdly meta. Your motivation is to see more routes and the different forms that this story can take. When I streamed this game for a second time after the Pristine Cut came out, I was explicitly there to see the new routes and how the story would change. And that's kind of your motivation in-universe as well. After you meet the Shifting Mound, your overarching goal becomes collecting different forms to return to her, or put in a different way, trying out different choices and seeing different facets of not just the princess, but of your relationship with her. The Shifting Mound and the Long Quiet are nascent gods that contain multitudes, so it makes sense that their dynamic contains every permutation between tender love and whatever the hell you and the Razor have going on by the end. You're kind of exploring human relationships in this game, so the seemingly insane choices that lead you to routes like the Apotheosis or the Princess and the Dragon make more sense, because they're all options that you could take. But sometimes it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play. Does anyone remember Pyre? It's a game by Supergiant, the Hades and Bastion guys. Definitely their least popular offering, but I thought it was a very good basketball visual novel. Look, what you need to know is that you and other misfits have been exiled from the land, and you have the ability to periodically free one of your homies from exile in a tournament of sacred rights that kinda just play like 3-on-3 basketball, with one person from the winning team each season absolved and freed. Only catch, you're the only one that can't be freed. Then things get more interesting with the introduction of the character Oralek. Oralek used to be on a team with Sandalwood, the guy who bankrolled your current operation in the first place. Oralek was due to be freed, but got screwed out of it at the last second, and his extended sentence has warped him into a bitter, hateful person. In the final match of the final season, the last time anyone can be freed, you beat him and get ready to free Sandalwood as thanks for all that he's done for you. But then the portal starts to destabilize. Any one person can go through, then it's closed for good. This is your only chance to go free. Instead, you free Oralek, giving him a second chance and his deserved reward that he was denied so many years ago. It's a great ending. It's a bittersweet tale of redemption and forgiveness, and it absolutely could have gone a dozen other ways. Pyre doesn't let you go back on saves, so you can lose a championship and see an opposing player freed instead of one of your own guys. You don't need to have Sandalwood facing his old friend in the final match. You could lose to Oralek in the end. In the final choice, you could choose to free Sandalwood or yourself. The ending I described was just the one that I got, and I think knowing that it could have gone another way made it better. It's an interactive narrative, and for once I feel like my choices mattered because it was a genuinely challenging question, and I came very close to having a much worse ending. Happily Ever After is the third new route added in the Pristine Cut. During the Damsel route, you can choose to stay in the cabin and build a new life with the princess rather than escaping with her. She's hesitant about this, and it's the only time the damsel shows any kind of independent thought. Persist, and the voice of the smitten takes over, causing the cabin to transform once more. The dungeon is changed into a large, opulent hall. The princess greets you in the dining room, seated in a chair with an ominously U-shaped shadow looming over her. It sets the table with food. The two of you eat it, and it's delicious. It resets the table. The food isn't quite as good as last time. It resets the table. You never quite feel satisfied. It resets the table. You try to get up. You can't. The princess insists that she's happy here. The only way to escape is to repeatedly question her, and get her to admit that the life she's been given isn't the life she wanted. Bit by bit, the shadow's hold slips. When you ask her what she wants, what she personally wants, independent of anyone else's wishes, she says that she wants to dance underneath the stars. But as long as she's trapped here, she can't do that. And then, the shadow vanishes. The princess has no reason to trust anyone ever again, but incredibly, if you offer your hand to her, despite some apprehension, she takes it. Even the narrator is fine with the two of you leaving. Maybe living in an eternally stagnant Neverland wasn't as nice as he thought it would be. And when the two of you step outside, under the endless starry sky, you dance. Or, you can walk up to her as soon as the shadow is gone, take the knife that was tied around her neck, and stab her in the heart. It's a bad ending. It's an unreasonable ending. But I think the fact that this ending exists is important. It's important for the same reason that this version of the princess wearing the knife right over the spot where it ended her life in a dozen other timelines is important. Trust is knowing that someone has the ability to harm you, but believing that they will choose not to. The long quiet and the shifting mound contain between them every type of relationship that human beings can have, including some that are truly awful. Think again about the princess taking your hand at the end there. In spite of that whole possibility space, she still did it. That's kind of incredible. Of course, in real life, very few of us have romantic, platonic, or familial relationships that are nearly as dramatic as what this game portrays. But a fair few more of us have had that experience where we got that metaphorical knife in our back. And while we don't have the luxury of being able to pop into another timeline, we do get to meet other people. We might choose to never trust them, to keep up a barrier around ourselves, or maybe just get them before they get you. After all, if you get close to someone, they will hold that knife in some form or another. They could use it again, but who knows? Maybe they won't.